I'm gonna need to borrow a contact solution after this recording. My contact's a little goofy. I haven't worn them since the trip. So I think my eyes are like adjusting to that Pittsburgh air. It's not as good as San Diego, I will say.
My sinuses get messed up when I'm in California.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know if like in LA, it was like I think it was the elevation or drastic shifts in it. But I remember we were downtown and like my head was killing me and it was all like pressure from my sinuses. So crazy.
Mine were thankfully fine. I just had stomach cramps, but that was just from the crazy amount of running I was doing.
Yeah. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the PS Pony Podcast, the 46th episode of the PS Pony Podcast, where once a week, every week, me and my best friend Ron get together to bring you all of the Sony and other gaming news that you need to know about. Ron, how you doing, man? What's going on?
Oh, I'm good. I was a little jet lagged the past couple days.
Yeah, I'm that 3 hours behind.
Yeah, it was nice. It was nice for a while. I just like texting Aaron randomly at like 5 p.m. Pacific saying, wow, imagine it being 8 p.m. right now. And then he would just text me getting annoyed. I think I did that like 4 times.
Yeah.
But the trip went fantastic. The client loved me, apparently. That's the news I heard. So that's good. So I might be going on more trips, which is hype. But yeah, the work trip went great. Back now trying to just play different games. I've only really been playing Caldera, aka the new Warzone map, which we can talk about a little bit.
Yeah.
I kind of want to hop into Persona. I'm gonna have some time off from work for a little bit. I'm trying to figure out what I want to play and do with just my life in general. I might start Death's Door, but that'll be like the 4th game I've started. So I'm thinking of trying to beat Kana during my off time because I started the hard mode on it, and then just have that done so I can check one off my list. Because as the next year rolls around, it's very unlikely I get to like any of these games, especially with Pokemon Arceus coming out in January, the the Uncharted collection game coming out, and then Horizon and Elden Ring and Saifu and everything else. It's gonna be so much. So yeah.
What's your Christmas gaming list look like?
I don't have like any games on my list. I have Mario, All Stars, and I think that's the only game. Last year I didn't ask for any games for Christmas. Usually the most I've asked for in the past like 3 years is like a PS Plus subscription.
Yeah.
I think the past 2 years I didn't get a single game because I just didn't want any. But this year's just Mario. That's it, unless there's a surprise waiting for me. I think my sister's getting me Mario, just hype.
Which one?
That's it. Mostly just vinyls and just other household items and stuff. But I see your list; it's growing every day.
Yeah, so close to Christmas too.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I got Nerf Legends on there, Demon Souls, It Takes Two. I threw the Hot Wheels game on there. Then, Pokemon, Mario, and then, of course, Mario Golf, which I've been eyeing up for a long-ass time.
Yes, of course.
And then Yoshi's Crafted World, because who doesn't love our little lizard dinosaur friend?
Mm-hmm. A little reptile. Yeah, I want to get more Switch games, but I'm playing Pokemon Brilliant Diamond because my mom surprised me, as you know, and before I left for my trip, she got me an OLED Switch because she stole my Switch to play Animal Crossing.
Yeah. So
she got me that model. But fun fact, since my account isn't primary on it, I couldn't play it on the plane at all. So it kind of served, like, the whole reason she gave it to me earlier was to play it on the plane. It served no purpose there. Because I was to connect to internet, and the Switch's hardware is, one, not the best.
No.
I have a lot of reasons of hating it. And the only free model of internet access I had on these flights was just to use iMessage.
Yeah.
So I couldn't play unless I wanted to pay, and it wasn't worth
even when you pay, it's very spotty.
Yeah, exactly. It only needs to just read the license, and then it's good. Yeah. So I tried setting up a hotspot on my work phone, and then that wouldn't connect either. It was a lot.
Yeah.
So I didn't get to play it at all, except the one night I was like down bad in my bed. I just played it for like 30 minutes, and that's it. But
yeah.
I'm one of the lucky few that have an OLED. I didn't tell you this. When I was going through TSA, I had to just take everything out of my bags, and I had a crap ton of equipment just for the business trip, and he was obviously a little strict with me because I had this stuff, And then I had my Switch carrying case, and I took it out of my small suitcase, and I guess I didn't zip it shut for whatever reason, and it fell out of my thing right on the ground. And I was like, fuck. I checked it. I'm like, no scratches. I turned it on. He goes, oh, is that the OLED? Oh my god, how the hell did you get the OLED? Oh, that's amazing. I'm like, did it crack? It didn't crack, did it? Oh my god. And I'm like, no, it's good, man. But he was so happy I had it. I'm like, yeah, you saw the white Joy-Cons there? He goes, oh, I saw the white Joy-Cons.
Dude,
and
I really like the white. I really do. And
I need a Series S now just to have the whole collection.
Yeah, I think because they do make the neon with the OLED, but like,
No, I don't think they do.
Yeah, they do.
They do?
Yeah, there's the white and then the neon, but the neon is the exact same as like the normal Switch. And I'm like, if I get the OLED, I kind of want to let people know it's the OLED, you know. No, funny enough, after you got yours, I was just curious to see how difficult these things are to get. I texted you. I found one on Target, and then I didn't end up buying it. But then a few days later, I saw one on Amazon too, and I was like, is it trying to tell me something? Is it saying I should buy it? Because here's the thing, I don't need it.
It's not,
you know what I mean? I don't want it necessarily. Like, I want it, but like I don't need it at all. But I would imagine that any time coming out soon, like that I do decide, not soon, but like whenever I do decide to upgrade it or do whatever I do to it, I'm assuming it's going to be a little easier to obtain.
I honestly, I don't think it's worth it. I turned on Animal Crossing on my Switch and my sister's Switch, and there was like, it's obviously just the screen,
right?
But it's not worth it. I would rather, if you're gonna get one to upgrade it, quote unquote, I would just wait if they increase the hardware in it.
Yeah,
that's the only time I think it's worth it.
That's the other thing. I feel like by the time I'm ready to upgrade or get a new one, I feel like they're gonna have like Switch 2. Or like a new Switch that's, can run 1080p video and all that stuff.
I hope they don't name it the new Nintendo Switch like they did with the DS. Marketing nightmare. I freaking hated that
the
thing.
new 3DS. But speaking of Pokemon, Ronnie, I've actually hopped back into Sword.
You never beat it, psycho.
Dude, I barely even started it, man.
It's such a good game.
But so I've been really enjoying that. GameStop was doing a thing a while back where they, how sometimes they give Pokemon, like shiny Pokemon codes out and stuff. They had, it was only for Sword, but they had a shiny legendary of Shield. So the Shield legendary. So I got a code for that, and it's a level 100, right? And I haven't even like met my first gym leader or anything. And so I got it because I was just in GameStop, or I was in the mall, and I was like, oh, well, I might as well just stop in GameStop and grab one. And I went in my first battle, and I was like, oh, you're about to get screwed, son.
He didn't listen to you.
Threw it out. He did not care about anything I had to say. And then I remembered that's how they do it.
Yeah,
that's
thank God. I was going to say, if they took that away, that's so stupid.
Yeah. And
it's until you beat the last gym leader.
Yeah.
You can use level 100s.
And honestly, I'm kind of glad they did, because like part of it was kind of like, oh, well, now I'm just going to steamroll everyone in the game. So...
Yeah.
Oh well.
I'm happy that's not the case. That would be ridiculous. They've made these games significantly easier over time. So.
Oh yeah. You remember having to just throw your Pokemon, your Magikarp that you just want to evolve out and just let
pull it back in.
Yeah.
But you can just bring them back.
Yeah, but other than that,
my Abra.
Yeah.
Only new teleport.
Right. But other than that, I've obviously been playing a lot more Caldera. I played a little bit more of Death's Door. I know I told you guys last week that I was hoping to beat it and have that review out. There's other games have been going on, so I just haven't really been able to hop back into it. Caldera, Ron. I talked a little bit about it last week. Now that we have more time in each, what are you thinking? What are your thoughts?
Before the Game Awards, I only got to play one game. So I hated it because I was just frustrated with all the stuff that they didn't do with it, that I only didn't really get to experience the map itself. Coming back and playing like more games, it was around like my 5th or 6th game, and I think the Resurgence mode helped a lot, because I think Resurgence is a great way to learn these maps.
Yeah.
I've come around to it a lot. I still hate the way they label guns in the game. Just I can rant forever on that. I'm not going to. A little disappointed, but it makes sense that if you're playing the Vanguard only mode of Battle Royale you can't use previous skins. On one hand, I'm upset because I grinded the Mason skin, but on the other hand, I'm very happy because now there's a way to get rid of that stupid all-black skin that makes you hide in corners and you're invisible. You know
the raw skin?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
The raw skin. So I'm happy that's essentially gone in that mode. And there's easier weapon balancing with guns because there isn't 35 assault rifles.
Yeah.
There never should have been. But the FOV slider not being in it still kills me.
Mm-hmm.
I hate that it's not there. But I will say I have not seen a single cheater yet with the anti-cheat live.
Neither have I.
Yeah.
Neither have I.
And we've been crushing.
Yeah.
There's like I was reading on Reddit that a lot of people have been saying they've been playing a lot better. And the two main reasons for that is, one, it's a new map, so people are learning it, and people are coming in fresh because it's a COD cycle. That's just what happens.
Yep.
And the next one being that maybe there were just way more people cheating, but not being obvious.
Yeah.
About their cheating, so you didn't notice it in kill cams.
Yeah.
And that's very likely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I saw screenshots of some like I don't know if it was like 4chan or something, but posts of people cheating like pissed off that they can't anymore, and like, you know, someone said it's giving me anxiety, and I'm like, all right, shut up, leave.
Did you see the there was I don't know how old it is, but it was back in Verdansk. Tim was playing duos, and he was playing with this like a kid who was cheating. And like every time he'd get a kill, he'd be like, "Oh man, I don't know how I hit that." And Tim would like look at the camera and be like, "Yeah, that's crazy, man. I don't no idea how you got it. You're just really good at this game." He's like, "I know, you're just cracked." And then by the end of it, he like set it up to get him banned. And he's like, "Hey, you know what? Since you're just really good at this game, I want to give you a gift." He's like, "What? Really?" Ban.
Nice. Yeah, was this like old Verdansk or?
It was Verdansk. Oh, I have no idea. It was just Verdansk.
Gotcha.
I think it was Cold War Verdansk.
Okay.
I think I don't know, because they were in the they were like not at airport. They were like right in those hangar areas. Mm-hmm. So I forget how much that area actually changed from the two versions.
Gotcha.
But yeah.
Yeah, but I haven't ran into cheaters yet, and what's nice about it is that it's consistently learning cheating, which is good. People have said that if there was a cheater in their game, they would just stay and spectate them. The game wouldn't finish. Like, they would be banned by the time the game was finished.
Good.
They'd be kicked out.
Nice.
So it's machine learning AI, so if there's a cheater, it sucks, but don't expect them to be there forever. And
yeah.
There have been people I saw on Reddit, this could be lies, of course, because it's the internet, but there's been people talking about how they would get banned permanently even whenever they were using like a new computer or something. So maybe it was like IP banning people or something. I'm not too sure, but they couldn't get a way to play this game anymore.
Yeah.
And even if they cleared all their cheats off the system, because the driver just detects that prior to the game starting, will just insta ban you. So it's pretty sweet.
Yeah,
so I'm very happy about that.
Someone on stream, I don't know if this is true or not, but I guess he said he messaged or he paid to talk to Tim, and he said he bought a used computer that I guess the cheats for Warzone were already pre-installed, so he loaded up Warzone and got banned immediately.
Oh wow, then that's good then.
Yeah,
that's just nice that there's just something to, I don't know, just prevent this.
Yeah.
Because as cheats get smarter, I'm sure there's going to be, you know, it's nice that it's just machine learning, so it's going to be constantly kind of doing stuff.
Yeah.
I'm happy that this is something that should be getting fixed and addressed.
The gun glitches seem to be out. I haven't had, like, I'll see them like when they're on the ground, like holding it. Because I'll see them on the ground be like, look all weird, but usually when I pick them up, they're fine.
Okay.
So
I didn't get it yesterday, but I have seen them like on the ground. Yesterday, that gun glitch was Aaron himself was just completely glitched.
Yeah.
And he just was that giant jagged thing.
Yeah.
That was
I noticed that with Aaron more than anyone else.
That's been an issue with every like new map they've done.
Yeah.
Like when Resurgence first dropped, that was an issue.
Yeah.
When the Verdansk did, that was an issue. And then like the year update, it's a weird thing. I think it's just because there's so many guns they're bringing over.
Yeah, The only glitch, and I know you've experienced as well, that like has really like deterred from my experience is when you come back or get bought back and you don't have any gun and you can't melee. Yesterday I almost got really screwed by it because Will bought me back, and I knew there was a team like it's not a tower, but it's like a normal building, but it has like a tower to it, you know. And I was like, screw it, I'm just gonna land on him, see what I can do. And right before I landed, somebody sniped him and he was down. So I landed, I was like, oh, I'm going to kill him, grab his stuff real quick, because I'm sure his teammate's probably going to push up and try to res him. I didn't have a gun. I couldn't do anything.
Oh, that stupid parachuting glitch?
Yeah. So
that has been the most prominent issue, and I hate it. I just have to stand in front of people.
Yeah.
On someone.
So I landed, and he was down up in this tower, and I like tried hitting him. It didn't work. I couldn't do anything, and I like stared at him. I was like, oh, maybe if he just dies out, then like I can grab his stuff. And he just like looked at me like, what are you gonna do? And then he stabs himself with the syringe, starts to self, and I'm like, oh, damn it! So I had to run away, and then I really wanted to try to spray a heart on the ground and see what he would do, but I couldn't even spray anything.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, that glitch is really annoying, especially because you don't even know if you're falling or parachuting once you're so close to the ground.
Yeah, because there's no audio cues or anything.
Audio is just completely gone, and then there's no physical movement of your character. It's really stupid.
Yeah.
But once they fix that, I think it's good.
Yeah.
But I'm liking the map a lot. I'm trying to not get like addicted to this map because I don't want to play this 24/7.
Yeah.
So.
I really like the map. It's this crazy thing, and me and Aaron were talking about it too, is we play a lot more aggressive in this map than we did in Verdansk.
It's a faster paced map.
It definitely is. And even to the point where like my loadout swap. Like I don't grab overkill anymore. Like I grab ghost because UAVs are always popping, and I just don't want to be at a disadvantage because of that. And with all the like flora, whatever it is, with all the shrubbery and everything that's going around, I'm actually thinking about throwing high alert on, just because like it's really hard to see people sometimes, and just having that general idea. Yeah. So far, I'm really enjoying it. We're getting kills, a lot of kills. I threw those back paddles on. Did I tell you that? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So from Extreme Rate, guys, if you guys are looking for like a kind of a cheap way to mod your controller with back paddles that isn't like a $300 scuff controller, you can go on Extreme Rate. They're on Amazon for $40. You can buy a back that actually you can replace the back, and it has back paddles that you can tie to any buttons except for L3 and R3 or the touchpad. You can do that if you want to, but that requires you to have to solder stuff into the board. I didn't do it that way, but I replaced them, and so far I'm loving them. They're not super intrusive. I've had a few circumstances where like I'll accidentally hit them, but they're not really like affecting me too much. It's just mainly getting used to them. So super easy. As always, you do have to actually open up your controller, so there always is that risk of breaking something, as me and Ron have found out when I tried to replace our friend Greg's shell. So so just watch out for that. But if you're looking for something like that, you go look at that, check that out.
I didn't get to ask you this because you talked about this in last week's podcast, but how's it feel that PlayStation came out with like the same color purple as the one you put on yours?
Dude, so I mean,
that was funny.
It is really funny.
I cracked up. This sucks.
But you know what? I like mine a little more because it has that like texture to it, but also the buttons are black. Whereas the one they came out with, it's all purple completely.
Yeah.
So I feel like mine has a little more accent to it. I definitely would have saved a lot of money if I waited, but also, how was I to know?
Yeah, exactly.
You know, but it's crazy. It's the exact same color purple.
That's like,
you know.
Damn. You know what I like was PlayStation. I'm happy PlayStation's coming out with the custom plates. I love how they're cheaper than D brands everywhere.
How much were D brands?
I think like $10 more.
Oh damn.
Yeah, without it being licensed. So that's definitely just like a screw you. Like, we'll take your business. Don't worry.
Well, D brand is their whole website is filled with just shit talking to Sony.
It's like, what are you trying to do? It's kind of cringy, but it was funny at first. Then I just want to go through and like see their stuff, and I'm like, I don't want to read all this stuff. Like, I just want to see these plates. How much do they cost?
Well, I was reading through it, and like I got pretty I didn't read it, but like I just got pretty close to the bottom of the page, and it said we're assuming that if you made it this far with all this text, you're probably a lawyer. So, and then it just started talking. Mm-hmm. So that was funny. But yeah, I definitely want to throw those purple plates on. I think that'd be really, really cool. Purple? Yeah, probably. You know?
Yeah. I don't know if I'll get plates. Aaron and I were talking. We were like, honestly, you find a color you like, and I get a color I like, and then we can match.
Yeah.
He uses one color, I use the other. Same with like Greg. I don't know if I will get plates. I'm probably going to get that blue controller, though.
I like the blue. That's the same color as my Vita. Mm-hmm. So
yeah, it's a nice light. That's why I figured it was like a nod too.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of that color blue. I think, I don't know. I'm good on controllers right now.
Yeah,
I don't need.
You have a lot of controllers, my guy.
Yeah, I'm gonna have 3. I think the max I'd get is one more. So, yeah. I think if I get any more, it would be because I have a second PlayStation in another room or something like that. But that ain't happening. You still have
4 controllers.
You're right.
Or 2 can be in each. And
yeah,
you're fine.
No, you're right.
Yeah. To get onto the news though.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, let's get into this.
Yeah, a little bit of catching up, but Bungie Bungie's head of HR has stepped down.
Yes, they have.
You have some info. You threw us in like as I was about to start driving over. I'm like, cool. That.
Yeah, so head of HR, Gail Dunt, is stepping down from her role after 14 years, and that was on the 15th of December. So Bungie is having a lot of the same issues with sexual harassment and misconduct and all kinds of things as our friends over at Activision. And
well, not friends, just more like people we play their games and consistently buy.
The weird kids in school will talk to be polite, but then talk shit on whenever they leave.
Exactly.
So she sent out an email to everyone at Bungie explaining kind of what's going on. In it, she says that she wants to do everything in my power to make sure everyone who works here has a safe, welcoming, and supportive environment. And moving forward, she wants to ensure and take steps in order to do that. I'm not sure why she needs to step down. I don't know if this is more of a personal choice that she feels she hasn't done as good of a job, or what that is. Because to my knowledge, no one's really called out for her to step down or any specifics about her messing up. But anyway, she continues. I know that they need to be trusted to be your advocates, the people who would replace her, not labeled as enablers or seen as company resources who provide bad actors with safe harbor. So she's officially stepping out as her role as Senior Employee Relations Manager, but it's not clear whether or not she will remain with the company. In her email, she states that she will work with Holly Bardakovi, who is Chief People Officer, and the leadership team at Bungie to determine what the appropriate next steps are. Also, in her message, she mentioned that her time at Bungie had included working through deeply challenging interpersonal conflicts, including termination of employees for performance, bad behavior, and for discrimination, racism, and sexual harassment. She actually reported her own abuser, who she described as a man, an executive, and someone I thought was my friend at Bungie, which resulted in him being fired. So yeah, the last little anecdote she has is, I'm proud of the work I did at this company. I believe I made recommendations that were in the best interest of our people and in service of the company we wish to become. I also believe we made some mistakes, and that to become the better version of ourselves, the company I know we can be, we have to acknowledge and confront them in good faith and grow together. Overall, this is pretty positive. I'm not sure exactly why she felt the need to step down. but maybe it's just she's been doing it for 16 years. She feels that, maybe other people can do it better. So
yeah. It's just a growing issue in the company.
Yeah. So that's our bad news for today. It's all good news for now.
Yeah. But it sucks. I mean, I guess, I don't know. I'm not going to... It's just weird that it sucks that Bungie's just kind of going through this too. I don't know how far back this stemmed these issues. But with all these things, it could just be from the birth of the company. There's always, unfortunately, just shitty people.
I think it could have also bled over a little bit from how close they were with Activision. I'm not sure how many people were with Activision that are currently at Bungie now, or how that separation happened, but
yeah,
they're making progress, it seems. So let's go. It's all good.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure they're going to be making faster progress than Activision. So
most likely, yeah.
I mean, hell, maybe if the company felt that she needed to step down, or she decided to step down herself, that's more effort than Bobby did.
Absolutely,
he's just not doing it. So.
Absolutely.
You know what company is putting a lot of effort into their products and their people?
No idea. What company, Ron?
The company that made Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl. He was apparently appearing to add crossplay and voice acting in upcoming updates, and they have been really, really good at being transparent about their updates.
They have
their Twitter account at all. There's pages on pages of here's what we fixed, here's what we're adding, blah, blah, blah. They are adding Garfield to the game as well.
Yeah.
Tale of Two Kitties.
Not on Monday, though.
Not on Monday.
You can only play him. That'd actually be really funny if you just couldn't play him on Monday,
or if he just sucked on Mondays.
Yeah,
that's really cool. I'm excited for that to be the first character into it. I didn't expect it to be a major person too.
Yeah,
for that, I'm sure you can. Yeah. I'm sure it's easier to get Garfield voice lines going than it would be for
Definitely.
another Ninja Turtle or something.
Yeah, or Timmy Turner, or Jimmy Neutron,
Cosmo Wanda.
Yeah,
any of them.
But they're still making, dude. I didn't know. They're still making Fairly Odd Parents.
They're still making SpongeBob. They have a SpongeBob spinoff now with Patrick.
Well, yeah, I know SpongeBob, but Fairly Odd Parents, jeez, man,
still going strong.
Jeez,
yeah,
crazy.
I forgot about it until a few years ago, and I saw they have a dog.
They have a dog now.
A fairy dog.
Oh my god, dude!
His name,
what's the old saying? Whenever a couple in a TV show has a baby, that it only has a season or two left.
Yeah,
that ain't true with Fairly Odd Parents.
Well, that's a cartoon. Yeah, that's kind of the thing. I feel whenever there is a sitcom or any show where one of them is having a kid or something.
Yeah,
that's usually just because the show is already wrapping up.
Right.
Yeah. Look at Friends, for instance. But yeah, this is really cool. I know you and I both have wanted the voice acting in the game.
Yeah,
it just seems really quiet. But this is a consistent growing game from people who loved Smash Bros. And are trying to make a game that is, obviously similar to Smash Bros. But they have been very persistent on making a game that is more tied to the community than the Smash community is, because Nintendo is very weird and bad with how they do esports, and they want Nickelodeon to kind of be that game.
Absolutely.
So I hope it can.
Yeah, but so far with this game, it's just been nothing but love and really people just trying to make good content. Mm-hmm. But that being said, the voice acting isn't officially confirmed. It is speculated because Diego Hernandez tweeted out, "We've been, all caps, hearing your requests, and we will make sure you'll be, all caps, hearing from us soon." Mm-hmm. Yeah, like you said, I think voice acting is just going to add so much more life to the game, make things a little more interesting. The way the characters kind of interact and talk to each other. Crossplay being on is huge because I know me and Ron, we came into the issue with our friend Matt, who's on PS4. We couldn't play with him on the PS5 version.
Yeah, it was really weird.
So it'd be really nice that I can download the PS5 version if we ever hop back into it.
Whenever you guys weren't on, I just played the PS5 version.
Yeah.
And then I would just hop back to the 4.
Yeah.
For no reason, just besides I'm petty.
Yeah. So.
But yeah, it is sitting at a 7 out of 10 on IGN as well for people who haven't really looked into it too much. It's more just mid reviews for everything as a company's. I think this is their first game, which the rating doesn't define the game. IMO.
Yeah.
Look at Last of Us.
Look at Deathloop.
Yeah, Deathloop sucks. I actually watched the ending to Deathloop today.
Oh, did you? It's horrible.
Yeah.
It sucks.
I watched it, and I was like, okay, well, I haven't played the game, so it didn't make sense, whatever.
Yeah.
And then I watched, like, here's why this happened. I was like, okay, I'm still kind of confused. But, okay.
Why did it happen?
Like the ending explained. Because they always do that for people who just didn't watch.
Right, yeah.
It's like, oh, so... Yeah, Juliana, blah, blah, blah.
After watching Skillup's review, he had a lot of very valid and good points.
Yeah.
Because, like, one of the reasons I really started to like the game while I was playing it was because it did give me that feeling of, like, Outer Wilds, of, like, I'm piecing this whole thing together, but...
There was nothing to, like,
really,
piece together.
No, it really... like, because, like,
that was my issue with it.
One of the things he said in it was he wished, and I feel the same way, is that he wished there were multiple ways to kill all of the visionaries, and that it was really up to you and how you figured it out, not like you do one thing, then this happens. Mm-hmm. And then he talked about time, like in Outer Wilds.
I hated the time.
Yeah, he talked about in Outer Wilds, like time matters in the sense of where you are and when you are, whereas like whenever you enter these new places, like time is stagnant, it doesn't move. You can take as much time as you want, do whatever you want, and all that. So yeah.
I hated Deathloop. I was happy it didn't win Game of the Year.
So was I.
I didn't think it deserved it, but
yeah.
Not to say it's a bad game, but I hate it. But I love The Last of Us 2, and people hate that, so whatever.
A lot of people love Deathloop too, so.
I mean, everyone loves games that others hate. That's just how it is.
Yeah.
So everyone's entitled to their opinion.
A business of opinions we work around.
Crazy. But yeah, that's the Nickelodeon news. I'm happy that game is kind of getting more love from the community because it's been talked about a good bit. Hell, it was a Game of the Year contender.
Yeah.
Well, for a fighting game, it was a nominee. So.
Yeah.
But Zach, PlayStation, going into the PlayStation news, has acquired Valkyrie Entertainment in their latest studio acquisition. I'll be honest, I read this and I was like, "Who's that?" Bless you.
Thank you.
Who dat? I don't know any games that they made. But they actually did make a game. It's called Guns Up with an exclamation mark at the end.
Is it? I think it's a VR game, right?
Not sure. It didn't say in the article. I've only heard of Guns Up because of this article.
Oh. Okay.
But it was. I was like, oh, okay. I guess they made an indie game. I guess it came out recently. Whatever. But as I continued reading, they are also a very big support group. Like a support company just to help like with animations and whatnot. They worked on God of War 2018 as well as the upcoming God of War Ragnarok, as well as games like Middle Earth, Shadow of War, Halo Infinite, and State of Decay 2. So that's pretty sweet.
That's awesome. Yeah. Especially I think this is a really big win for Sony to win. It's not really like a win or lose situation, but I think this is huge for Sony because since they have experiences working with multiplayer games like Halo Infinite, like State of Decay, and sort of like Shadows of War-ish, that could also play into them building this multiplayer game, whatever this is, and them potentially working on other multiplayer games, which, as we've said in the past, currently Sony has no foothold or anything.
Yeah, that's kind of that's just the biggest thing they're missing. The two biggest things that Sony is missing is a Game Pass contender and multiplayer first-party games,
which we're supposed to be getting both. So
yeah, supposed to be getting both, which I'm really excited for. We'll see what happens. I don't know. Will it be the Games Pass equivalent? Probably not for another couple years into its cycle, and then it'll be great, I'm sure. But it's a really cool win. Because Sony, like whenever I do this mistake too, but whenever it's like, okay, Santa Monica, God of War, Sucker Punch, Ghost of Tsushima, and every Guerrilla Games for Horizon, you only think of those companies, but there's so many. If you ever, I've sat through the credits before, just mainly listen to the music.
Oh yeah, you have to.
Yeah,
you have to.
I always listen to the music, and that's the main reason. But there's so many people from so many different support studios, such as Valkyrie, so that's pretty hype.
Yeah,
it's nice they got a dedicated one.
Yeah,
and with a lot of experience.
Yeah, and you know, Ron, something they've been acquiring a lot of studios recently that have worked on remasters, reboots, you know, porting games over and different things like that. I'm wondering if part of the reason they're doing this is so that way they can take a lot of that like not pressure, but like a lot of that workload off of their heavy hitting studios like Santa Monica, like Naughty Dog, like Sucker Punch, so they can focus on other stuff.
Yeah, and maybe it's also just a way to like either, like you said, focus on other stuff or just help alleviate burnout.
Yeah,
because burnout's such a huge thing in that industry.
And what works with this really nicely too is it allows these studios to really prove themselves in what they do. Because like we know Uncharted is a good IP. The game is good, right? But how well can they port it over? That does give Sony an indication of how well they do with that. Can they? Is it worth funding something for them to do on their own? Mm-hmm. Which isn't always the best. It's almost like, I guess this is just like building your resume, building your repertoire, showing what you can do. Mm-hmm. And hopefully we see some really awesome games come out of these studios, especially Blue Point. I'm really excited to see what Blue Point does, like completely on its own.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
You know what else I'm excited to see what company does on their own now that they're acquired by Sony?
What company?
Housemarque.
Hey,
for Returnal.
Yeah, baby.
Because Returnal is one of my game of the years. In terms of new games that came out this year, I think it actually might be my number one.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
We'll talk about that in depth next week, I'm sure, because that'll be our big topic. Woo woo.
Spoiler alert.
Oh, it's more of a sneak peek. Yeah.
Unlisten to it.
Yeah. So Returnal is apparently among the least finished games of 2021, according to a list compiled by How to Beat, which I honestly use How to Beat a lot, or not How Long to Beat. Yes, sorry, not How to Beat. How Long to Beat. I use them a lot.
I love. They have an app.
They do?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's great. I love How Long to Beat.
Yeah. Usually, whenever it was a game like Persona or a game like where I'm like, okay, like which one should I play first if I have a backlog?
Yeah.
I always just go with the shorter one. I'm like, all right, cool, we'll just do that.
And for anyone unfamiliar with How Long to Beat, it gives you like multiple times for different things. So like it'll give you like a platinum time, a completionist time, just a quick, easy mode run through, speed run time. So it really can help a lot.
Yeah. But they also made a list of the most retired games, but we'll get to that in a second. But I wanted your thoughts on this. When I read this, I wasn't surprised at all because the game doesn't have a pause feature or a save where you are, so that's the biggest reason, and it's also just a Metroidvania.
Yeah. Well, we didn't tell them exactly what we're talking about currently. Yeah. So a list came out. Returnal is number 6 on most unfinished games on How Long to Beat's website. Mm-hmm. It doesn't surprise me. I'm going to be honest with you. Especially, I don't know what they mean by like. I don't know what they're tracking for like finish rate. Are they tracking like that third act secret ending, or are they tracking?
I think it's just like that trophy pop. Like, hey, you did it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So it doesn't surprise me.
Once credits, to me, a game is beaten once credits roll. Everything after is end game.
Yeah.
Animal Crossing, you beat the game whenever those credits roll.
Right.
And then everything else is end game content. That's just how games work.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
I would agree with that for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I can't think of anything I would disagree with. But this isn't very surprising to me, especially because I would imagine this game got its biggest pop when it first launched, and with the times how often or easy it could crash. I don't remember experiencing too many of those situations, but definitely, because for me, I had a lot more difficult of a time with Returnal than you did.
Yeah.
And
7 attempts.
To like get through an area, get to the final boss, feel pretty good about my like setup and like what I got going on, just to like have my game crash. It's something that I just had no control over, or it didn't come down to me or anything. I can definitely see how people could just walk away from it for that. Mm-hmm. Also, since Returnal is a roguelike.
Yeah, I meant to say roguelike, not Metroidvania.
Yeah. Since it is a roguelike bullet hell, it's in a way it's like you do one room, you done them all, So I can see people just kind of getting tired of that aspect of it. And it's hard. It's just a very difficult game.
In my opinion, not really in terms of that, just in terms of getting tired of it, because there's so many different enemy types compared to like Deathloop.
Right.
Where there's one type, whereas this one, like every room has a new strategy to it. But if you're bad at dodging, yeah, you'll see it as everything is the same. But if you're good at it, then there's always something different and always something to watch out for.
But the goal, the cadence is more what I mean. Like obviously every room's different, but I meant more just in a general sense. Like you're doing the same thing roughly in every room.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't find that super surprising. Mainly because I think progress in games like this, like any roguelike really, it can be very difficult to like track, especially with how long the progress takes. Like it could take an hour or two to get through the first or second area. So when like if you look at a game like Hades, like you're still making progress every single time you die, whether that's you get more, now have more resources to upgrade, new dialogue options pop up, so you at least feel that like, oh, I'm still making progress, I'm still like expand, like something happened every time you die. Whereas with a Returnal, that's not necessarily always the case. But Ron, what I'm interested in, what this brings up is the idea of replayability, because we have a quote here from Joseph Fares, who made Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons, A Way Out, and this year's Game of the Year winner, It Takes Two. And what I like in this article is they spelled It Takes Two like Too. And at first I was like, yeah. So, and with parentheses, we have to deliberately misspell the name so we don't get sued by a certain company. But he had a quote here, and I'm going to read it real quick because I think it's a very interesting it's very interesting to bring up. It reads, okay, here's the thing. I'll be short here. Replayability. Really, we should be very careful talking about this because the dangers of replayability. Because of the dangers of replayability. All the statistics show that people aren't even finishing games. The dangerous part is that everybody, reviewers, everyone who talks about this talk about replayability. Who's really replaying games? Maybe a small percentage of people do that. We should focus on people finishing games. And I think that's a very interesting point to make. Because for me, there's a lot of games that I just get like overwhelmed by. And I'm just like, how, for example, Assassin's Creed Valhalla. That game is massive. And I don't want to go back to it because it scares me. I don't want to put 70 hours into a game.
Or even like loading up Destiny for the first time in like a few months.
Yeah.
How much crap there is and how much stuff you remember you had to do and you're like, I'm not doing this.
Yeah, and I think at that aspect, when it comes to like replayability and like all that, is like big long games like, you know, Valhalla and other like mainly open world games like that, I'm not as likely to go back and replay if it takes 60, 70 hours to get through the game once, you know? But that being said, like smaller, short, like mainly indie games, I'm more likely to go back and replay if, you know, I can sit down for maybe four hours over the course of like 2 or 3 nights and just knock it out. And I think this is very interesting because like a lot of people don't finish games, especially when it demands a huge chunk of their time. Not only that, but like the game's competing, I think, with too much. It's competing with their lives externally, but it's also competing with other games that are coming out. So yeah. So like, what's your finish rate on games?
I don't know. Like in general, the last game I bought that I was like, I'm not finishing this is Returnal. Usually I finish my games.
Well, technically you beat Returnal.
I'm sorry. I meant to say Deathloop. Deathloop I didn't beat. Returnal I 100% beat. We're talking roll credits. I think I beat majority, unless there's like some really like small indie game that I completely forget about. I'm gonna say like 90% of games I'm rolling credits on. Mainly because I spent money and I want to see it through, but if it sucks, I'm done. Yeah. Like a game like Nickelodeon All-Stars, I don't even know if there's like a story mode to it. I don't know if you can really beat that game.
No, I don't think so.
But I would say majority of the time, the other game, there's like a game that comes up, like A Night in the Woods, I think is one I started and didn't like.
You had Night in the Woods?
Yeah, I had it on my Switch. It was like on sale for like, I got it years ago.
Gotcha.
I didn't like it. I've kind of wanted to go back to it, but I didn't like it once. Probably not gonna like it again. I have Dead Cells. I have that on my Switch. I didn't beat that.
I love Dead
So
Cells. That one time I hopped into it, I really enjoyed it.
Well, I played it before Hollow Knight. And I started Hollow Knight, and I didn't even finish that, and I had it on my Switch, and then I got on the PlayStation because it was free.
Right.
Switch games I have a harder time finishing, I think.
Yeah.
Because I take more chances on, like, indie games on my Switch. Yeah, I mean, I'd say majority of them I beat. Stardew, I never rolled credits on Stardew. I think you can.
Yeah.
But that's a game on my Switch.
Yeah.
But, like, when it comes to PlayStation games, I beat them. I would say about 90% of the time. Mainly because it's just money I spent, and it's usually games that we split and we talk about. So, yeah. I mean, I never played the COD campaign, Vanguard.
Oh, really?
I still haven't touched that.
Are you going to go?
Probably at some point. I never started it, so I'm not going to say I never finished it, but...
That's fair.
It's a very branching game.
I have a few games that like I started and didn't finish, but like every game I start and don't finish, I'm always like, I'm gonna go back. And
usually the games I don't beat are the ones where I'm going back to have to replay the game for a platinum. Like Kena, that's gonna take a while. Persona Royale, that game is just is crazy. I would love to beat it before all the games come out. That's not going to happen.
Yeah. Persona's my main thing on my list that I need to beat.
The main games I don't beat are the ones I'm replaying again. Like The Witcher, I replayed it and I got to the Bloody Baron and I stopped because I just want to wait for the remaster.
Yeah, right.
I've done everything in that game multiple times.
The only thing other than Persona that like, and like I consider games like I've fully walked away from at this point. Like I'm not going to include Death's Door because I'm still playing it. It's still in my like rotation of games. But Night in the Woods for one, and After Party. But I think the reason I kind of fell out of those two games was because they were good. I enjoyed them, but they're very much like the side scrolly walk around text-based storytelling. And I guess, and like at that point in time, like I just don't think that was what my mood for gaming was. I wanted something a little more active, something I was, not just walking one place, talking, walking the other place, talking.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah, it's weird. The main Switch games that I love and I finish are mainly just the Mario games. No, a game I did quit out was the Mario Party. It was the Super Mario pack where it was like Mario 64, Sunshine, and Galaxy.
Yeah.
I got that and then returned it.
Yeah.
Because I played 64. I thought they'd fix like the camera. I thought it would be like a remaster.
Yeah.
Nah. And I was like, I'm done with this. And I the only one I liked out of it was Galaxy.
Right.
And I liked Sunshine when I was a kid, and I guess that just didn't transcend enough to now because I was very mid on it and I gave up on it, and I had started to really like Galaxy, but it was not worth $60. So I went back and then just returned it.
Gotcha.
Guy game, so I was like, what? And then I pre-ordered Cyberpunk.
What?
And then he goes, he goes, oh, okay, that's a good pre-order. And then I pre-ordered Cyberpunk, and then that came out.
Yeah, that happened.
Yeah, it was interesting. So yeah, shout out to that.
Yeah.
Cyberpunk I beat. Love the story.
Yeah, story's great, dude.
And I'm planning on replaying it whenever the remaster drops.
I definitely want to.
I'm not in a hurry to do it by any means at all. I would rather do The Witcher replay than that, but
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think we're the type of people who finish games. Greg and Aaron, no shot.
No. And
to a point where it bothers me.
Dude,
more than it should.
What it bothers it bothers me a little bit too, but it's not even like it could just be like
Red Dead 2, I'm on the last chapter. Doesn't beat it.
But it could just be like one little thing that go like, oh, I died in this area. I'm out. It's over.
Well, you just already weren't liking the game that much, if that's the case.
Yeah.
I've been like that.
Yeah, but the Red Dead 2 for Greg, it's very annoying.
That's very annoying.
It's very annoying.
It's so annoying because you just can't go back to it at this point.
It's like running a marathon and stopping on the 20th mile.
Yeah.
You're like, it's fine.
Yeah. I did it.
I mean, I almost ran a marathon.
Ridiculous. Now, I will say, he is on, like, the last chapter prior to, like, the big thing happening, and then there's, like, 5 more hours of gameplay.
Yeah, I mean, in his defense, too, like, I do remember feeling pretty, like...
Burnt out,
but, like, it wasn't until, like, that whole thing happened that, like, kind of, like, grabbed me again, where I was like, oh, okay.
I've been wanting to replay Red Dead 2 for so long, and then I started a replay on it, And then I was like, wow, these controls are trash. And then I just didn't.
Yeah, it's just GTA, Cowboy GTA.
I'm going to play the GTA campaign again, though. When
the
remaster
you?
Drops. 100%.
Oh, when the remaster drops.
Yeah, back in March. 100%.
Honestly,
I love the campaign.
That was a really good campaign.
It is. In terms of story,
campaign.
I'm saying this without thinking about other games. It's in my top 10 stories.
Yeah.
I think the storyline was fantastic, especially for us being, it will be 9 years since that game came out when the remaster does. 9 years ago, Ron, loved that game. Second GTA's ever owned.
Michael, absolutely. I'm not an animal. I didn't kill him, but I did kidnap his wife.
The funniest knee slapper thing we think we've ever done.
Yeah.
I was ruined it by saying knee slapper. But yeah. But anyway, yes, Returnal. I'll go through the quick list. There's 10 here, most retired games. Go from 1 to 10. Or so I'll go 10 to 1. It's more fun. Number 10, Biomutant.
No shock.
No shock at all. I actually had to think about what that game was. I'm so happy we didn't buy it. 9, Cyber Shadow. 8, Back for Blood, which I think is like a hard game to beat because it's mainly co-op. I didn't really think of it as a game you would beat. But
it's made by Turtle Rock, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Which, by the way, Turtle Rock just got acquired by Tencent.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, interesting. Number 7, Oddworld Soulstorm. 6, Returnal. 5, The Medium. 4, Outriders. No shock at all. 3, The Ascent. 2, Loop Hero. And 1, 12 Minutes. I heard 12 Minutes was very mediocre.
It only takes 12 minutes.
I've seen people playing it, and it was kind of interesting.
It looks really cool.
When it first got revealed, I was like, damn, I really wish I could play this. And then it came
got
out,
Willem
and
Dafoe,
I watched.
dude. That basically sells it right there.
Yeah, and then I watched people playing it, and I was like, all right, I could live without this.
Yeah.
But Zach, second to last piece of news we have here is the importance of accessibility.
Yes,
video games. As spoken by Naughty Dog reps as well as Insomniac reps,
who are really leading the accessibility movement right now.
Yes, besides the Forza devs.
Right, not to neglect other developers.
Yeah.
Ubisoft is doing it great. But yeah,
the work in Last of Us 2's accessibility was really, really good.
Really awesome.
For a company and a console manufacturer doesn't even have that the Microsoft gamepad, which is phenomenal. Yeah, they did a really good job. The article is a very good read. I have kind of made bullet points to skim through because it's a long one.
Yeah. That was also I'm sorry to derail you. That was a big critique on Deathloop too. Is that like a lot of people just who had various disabilities for whatever it is, they couldn't play it. I remember I read a review. I forget who wrote it. I think it was the guy who founded Able Gamers, and he wrote a review, and the title of it was, "It took me less than 5 minutes to realize that I couldn't play Deathloop."
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm happy that's kind of just being a big push.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
But this article is titled, "It's a True Frontier of Game Design, How Naughty Dog and Insomniac Games Think About Accessibility." This article is written by, it's written by Eurogamer staff, and it's published on Eurogamer.
Oh, it's just a Q&A.
Yeah. But, who's doing the Q&A?
Right, I got you. But they're Q&A'ing Brian Algier from Insomniac and Matthew Galliant from Naughty Dog.
And kind of the bullet points that I brought out too was mainly related to game difficulty. So having like a super easy mode. Uncharted has had that, like the adventure mode and stuff. I remember at first I was like, why is this even a thing? For us, it was like, oh, this is nice because we can platinum it so much easier now. I didn't even process the idea of someone just not being able to do it.
I think Uncharted was the first time we really experienced like an accessible game.
Yeah, from our standpoint.
Right, yeah.
One thing I did think was really cool, and I didn't know it was a thing, was prone invisibility with optional timers in The Last of Us 2.
I had no idea that was a thing too.
Yeah, because you obviously it's an accessibility setting, so basically how it works is you turn it on, and when you play as Ellie, or spoiler alert, Abby, whenever you go prone, enemies and the walkers and the zombies and the clickers and everything, they won't see you until you stand up. There actually was a point where they added in an optional timer, so you can have it so maybe for like every 10 seconds after being prone, then they would see you. I think that is genius.
Yeah.
As an idea. I never would have thought of that.
Yeah, well, and the reason they added that was because they did a play test with I I can't find his name. They did a play test with somebody who they did it for people who were blind.
Yeah.
I would imagine not fully blind. I think. I don't know. But they did a play test with someone who is affected by blindness, and one of the critiques he gave, the reason they added the timer was because he said he felt that it was too easy or too overpowering, that he can just lay down forever, which I think is a really awesome balance of the way they make games, because they're not just making everything super, super easy. They still want to make things easier for them to play, but also give them a unique challenge in their own way that they need to play. So it's not just, I'm just going to lay down, I'm invisible forever, and that's just how the game's going to go, and just you walk through the whole game.
Crawl.
Right. So adding that timer adds that ability of like, okay, how do I want to do this? Like, my timer's almost out. I can't stand up here. I really like that they're still keeping the feeling of challenge and everything, while making it, like the article says, more accessible to people who are not able to experience the game in the average way.
Yeah.
And
one of the other points too was quick time events. You can change it from like tap to hold, which I never would have thought of, but that makes sense. I know we benefited from this a lot. Larger subtitles.
Yeah.
Thank God.
Huge.
God of War, I think, was the first game I played that could change that. That I recall.
Yeah.
Off memory, and I was like, wow, why? As soon as I made the subtitles bigger, I'm like, why is this not a thing?
I love the color.
Yeah.
You can change colors of subtitles. It's
changing
great.
colors or adding like the background to it, so like the white doesn't like fade in with other bright colors or anything.
Yeah, I forget if I said this about Far Cry, but there was an option that you could highlight enemies with a red outline. You could customize what color the outline was, but I chose red. So typically, like, you'd mark them. They'd have that typical mark too, but just generally, anytime there was any enemy around you, they'd always, if you see them directly, not through walls or anything, but if you see them directly, they'll always have that red outline. And I love that, mainly because it just made my playing time with it so much more easier. You could also do the same thing with collectibles. It wasn't, you couldn't change the color of like what the thing was, but it would like kind of like shine and spark. And for games like Uncharted, especially Last of Us, where there's a bunch of like resources and collectibles and all kinds of stuff, I'm the type of gamer where I'll spend 2 hours searching one area just to get every single thing I can get. So huge.
Audio cues being a big thing as well. I mean, hell, Sly Cooper, for instance, you hear the bottles, you just have to turn your music off and you can hear the bottles clinking. And
then you proceed to hear the bottles for the rest of your life the time.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of it's a caveat for sure.
Yeah.
And as well as accurate representation as well of deaf or blind people as well.
Yeah.
The main game that they called out for this too was Spider-Man Miles Morales, for a character named Haley Cooper.
Yeah.
She is the deaf woman in the beginning of the game, as well as like throughout you see her. Mainly, I only really remember from the beginning and end of the game. It's nice to just have that form just of representation as well. So, and it doesn't look like it was even forced in. It just looks like it's more of an actual lively New York City, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
And as well for the future, with the PlayStation 5 and their awesome controller, haptic feedback. They're going to try to look into ways to incorporate haptics into the games in the future. Maybe like slight rumbles on left and right of everything, or it goes throughout the whole grip of it. So you maybe just more north as you go down, it might move closer to like your palm. There's a lot of really cool things they could do with it, and adaptive triggers as well. Yeah. Really nice. I love the adaptive triggers. Haven't really played a game recently with them. I'm sure Horizon or the Uncharted collection, I'm sure, will be the next one.
Yeah, most likely.
Vanguard has it, but I don't notice it.
It's a lot. They really dialed it back from
I'm sure they got
Cold
a lot
War.
of criticism. Cold Wars were fantastic.
I love Cold Wars. I wish they did it like Cold War, but I'm sure just the average gamer was like, "Oh, my finger hurts when I'm shooting my DMR," and like, just turn it off.
Yeah,
just don't worry about it.
But yeah, that was really cool. The one part of the article I did want to read was the last part. The question reads, What would you like to see happen in accessibility in the next 10 years? What are the big challenges and the big opportunities? Matthew from IGN, my goodness, Naughty Dog responded saying, the big challenge for accessibility is that there is no silver bullet. Every game has unique accessibility design challenges and must be evaluated and play tested individually. However, games that advance the cutting edge of accessibility benefit the entire industry, which I think Forza is really going to do if they have sign language in the game. I think that's going to be amazing.
Yeah. Well, to pause you real quick, one of the things that they did mention from the Naughty Dog is one of the things they said was any information provided through one channel, e.g. visual, should also be available through other channels, whether that's audio, haptic, or anything like that. So, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yep. Future games can replicate proven functionality at a much lower risk and cost. The big opportunity for accessibility is that it's a true frontier of game design. We had almost zero precedents to work from while designing complex action shooter games features for blind players. However, this gave us a completely blank canvas to try anything we could imagine. In some ways, it feels like the early days of 3D controls in the PS1 era, when designers were grappling with fundamental questions like, how do we even move the camera? Over the next, hopefully less than 10 years, I would like to see accessibility features become the norm for all video games, something that seems noteworthy and deficient when absent. I believe that this demand will emerge organically from players who become accustomed to the universal benefits of good, accessible design. I mean, I'm sure the biggest ones I know you and I have benefited from is audio cues, which has been great, and for me, bigger subtitle text, because now we play on monitors, but when we played on our 50-inch, 60-inch TVs, playing games with small text and hard to see was so annoying.
Yeah, I mean,
because then if there's any noises you're hearing, like when I played Last of Us 2, I know you can adjust the size of the text, but I wore that with noise canceling headphones, like not even that gaming headset I wear. I wanted to just not hear a damn thing around me because I wanted to know what was going on. But if there's a disruption, no shot.
Yeah, and like that's the thing is there's been so many times where like, because especially growing up in high school, I think I sat maybe like 15 to 20 feet away from my TV. There were so many times, like especially in menus, I'd have to stand up and like go look and read like what it said because it was just too far away.
So rough.
Yeah. So,
but it's nice that they're kind of just getting refined over time. So
definitely,
that'll work then. But Zach, we have one more article.
Yes,
for tonight's a little longer episode that we've been recording.
Yeah, well, it's been a while since we've gotten together.
That's true.
That's true. Holiday season's coming up, dude. Gotta prepare.
But hopefully this holiday season, indie devs get what they want for Christmas, which is Sony to repair its relationship. And Sony wants that too, apparently. And Zach, you have a bit more details on that.
Absolutely. So if you guys remember, back in July, me and Ron read a article and just some comments from a lot of indie developers about the process of like getting their games on Sony platforms, as well as their not customer service, but their service to those developers, answering questions, all kinds of things like that. If you want to do a sale, they would have to be invited, and there's just a bunch of red tape and red tape and like hurdles that they had to get over, and making that Sony just a very difficult a difficult store to put their games on. This worked. Sony's shifted a lot of these issues. They've addressed them. They've started to make a lot of solutions. And apparently, actually, whenever this came out in July, they were already taking steps to make everything easier for indie devs. So that's huge. That's huge. I'm really happy because I remember being very upset after hearing that.
But because that was Sony's big push with the PS4 launch. Was we care about indies.
So this is from Acapora Games CEO David Logan. So Sony actually reached out to a few developers, and David's response, and like his retelling of that conversation. It reads, "They were obviously crushed at the news, and it was clear that the account managers at Sony had been working hard for a long time to push through a lot of the ideas the indie developers flagged in our initial discussion," he says. After the article, that seemed to give a huge boost to initiative they had already been planning, because rapidly after Sony started rolling out a bunch of big changes. That's awesome. I'm assuming that, and like I don't know the logistics behind all of this, but I'm assuming that they were slowly making progress to fixing a lot of these things, but the developers being vocal about it was what really gave them that extra kick.
Yeah, and I think in combination of this article coming out back in July, as well as the huge confusion on how to even pre-order Horizon and why, like, you know, there was like that whole miscommunication.
Mm-hmm.
I think Sony's been trying to do and I think they have been doing a good job, but I don't know.
Yeah. We don't develop games.
Yeah, I don't develop games.
Yeah.
But doing a good job at just giving a good eye to PR. Yeah. And, like, you know, everyone's saying, like, okay, you know, they haven't done any BS lately. Let's hate Microsoft now. And then they swap and they flip-flop. And then everyone comes together and hates Nintendo together, as all things should be.
Yeah. One of the other big changes that they call out is that before, like, they would ask Sony a question about how to fill out a form or do whatever, and they would go days, weeks, even without a response.
Yeah.
That is a lot more fluid, and the conversation is a lot more fluid and natural now. Where one developer said the longest it took them was 5 days, but usually it's with 24 or 48 hours after asking the question. Mm-hmm. Which is great, because that just makes everything easier for the developers to, like, do what they need to do to make sure the game's on the console. That makes things easier for Sony, because the developers are going to act faster. Also, Sony is looking into adding a new games tab on the store. So even if the developer...
They have that.
They have... I think
new releases.
They have that, but I think they're actually putting a full tab, like, at the top. Like how it's like, I don't know, whatever, this deals, PlayStation Plus, all that. I think they're actually going to put a tab up there. And I don't think it includes every release that's come out the past week.
Gotcha.
You know, and so I don't know how this tab is going to work. I don't know if it's going to go just the past week, if it's going to be the past month, or what it's going to be. But that's huge too, because that new releases tab, I will check that actually pretty frequently, like once a week, and just see what's coming out and what's going on. And I've actually found a few games that I'm actually pretty interested in through looking at it, that I would never have known otherwise. Granted, there is a little hesitation on this, mainly because, you know, they've taken a lot of steps to address these issues and fix these issues. However, there are still a little things that are kind of lagging behind, and they didn't completely resolve everything. They're just taking steps to it. But the biggest, I guess, worry would be is, did they make this all happen because of how vocal developers were? So is this going to have to be like every 6 months, like developers have to complain and then Sony jumps back on top of it? And there is a correlation with the release schedule of their big AAA games along, historically Sony gives more attention to indie games whenever it's a dry season for their
big AAA
releases. So I guess the other question is, we got Horizon coming out. We also have God of War coming out pretty soon. And Sony has a few other things that I'm sure they have in the works. Are we going to see more of a pullback from indie developers and this type of attentiveness once we get closer and once those things release? Mm-hmm. So that's something we're going to have to figure out. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. How do you feel about
Love my indies. I think this is... I think it's a good thing for now, but like as you said, it's worth being cautious of it, because, you know, the Sony first-party games, Sony just wants you to buy those games more than the other ones, obviously. That's how it is. That's why Saifu moved their release date up.
Oh, did they actually?
Yeah.
Oh.
Instead of moving it back, they moved it closer.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It was originally supposed to come out like the same week of Elden Ring and Horizon, like around that time, and they moved it closer to the beginning of February.
Right.
Yeah. Which I want Saifu, but the problem is, like, these games are coming out more expensive. I'm gonna get those ones first. I'll get Saifu later.
Yeah. Yeah, also a big thing that I know a lot of indie developers would like is Sony to take into account like interest in the game. So like the Steam wishlist is a huge factor on like what Steam pushes and stuff like that. I'm not there right now. I don't think there's really anything like that for Sony, which is why like even if you can't afford to purchase a game that you want, adding that to your wishlist is a very good way to hopefully get that to go on sale or push that further. And like right now there's the one that's doing the best is Steam because of how malleable it is with what the developers want and how they can market their game and put their game out there. There's a lot less barriers.
Well, especially because every big AAA game has its own launcher.
Right. Yeah. So that's a huge factor, and it's not just Sony. As we said 6 months ago, it's not just Sony that they struggle with these issues with. It's also Xbox and Nintendo especially. Yeah, so Sony's taking steps. I'm sure Microsoft and Nintendo are all taking steps to make this more accessible and more developer friendly. Because the more developer friendly it is, the more games we get, and the more fun we have playing video games. Mm-hmm. So
that's the way it be. Never get Hollow Knight without indies.
No shot. No shot. We might not even get Silksong, but who knows?
Shut up. I actually had a dream last night that Sly 5 got announced.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and gameplay came out. It was actually pretty sweet.
Oh, man, dude. They're just teasing us.
Yeah.
They're just teasing us.
Mm-hmm.
They're not even doing anything specific.
They're doing it in my dreams.
Yeah.
That's just That's really good marketing.
Yeah, I wonder how much you charge for your dream space.
$50 an hour.
That's pretty good.
Yeah,
that's pretty good.
Good rates.
I think I'm not getting too many, but I might have to drop mine down.
Yeah, I reckon the 50 range is where they bite. So. That's all the news we have, Zach.
Yeah, Ronnie.
No questions this week, sadly, but if you do want to ask us questions, you can contact us at AskPSPonies@gmail.com. That is AskPSPonies@gmail.com. You can also follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/PSPonies. PSPONIES. Go check it out at the follow button and subscribe to us on YouTube. We have a YouTube channel we don't really talk about too much, but the podcast releases every week on Wednesdays, day after the audio version, which is Tuesday. You can subscribe to us and hit that notification bell to get every single notification, know whenever we post on youtube.com/PSPonies. Zach, take it.
Yes, thank you guys so much for listening. Make sure to catch us next week. Me and Ron are most likely going to be going over our favorite games to wrap up the year.
Just other discuss. It's more of like a chill podcast thing.
Yeah,
this week is.
Yeah, we're just hanging out.
A little bit light news because I doubt there's anything going on.
Yeah, New Year's starting. So yeah, be sure to tune into that. And other than that, if you celebrate Christmas, have a very Merry Christmas.
Bye.
Bye.
Happy holidays.